people continue to ask how this team's going to bounce back. I thought we had just a terrific three-game stretch of games because we've gotten better, particularly defensively. We had an excellent game plan, and when we executed it, I thought we were really good tonight. I thought there was a stretch in the game where Jordan was just dominant in the game, and he got into foul trouble, and the biggest thing I needed for him to do is to not get back into deeper foul trouble and keep his composure. I thought he got a little rattled in the game, which affected us. Obviously, the 3 missed free throws affected the game as well, too. And then hats off to them. They were 2 for 10 in the first half from the 3 and were really good defensively. And in the second half, they were 8 for 12. Same threes. I thought we had terrific shot pressure, and they hit some tough threes from the best three-point shooting team in the conference percentage-wise, a veteran basketball team. They made some big shots, and that was the difference in the game, really. I thought we did a good job in a lot of areas in the game, but we let the game get away from us again, but not necessarily let it, as they played well. They played well down the stretch.
Coach, you mentioned their shooting ability. I think they came in 9th in the country in field goal percentage. I was just talking to Larry, and he was saying what an ugly game this was. Did you want to make it an ugly game in that sense?
You know, it was I wouldn't call it an ugly game because they sent 3 guys back to keep us from running. We sent 3 guys back to keep them from running. So it was a half-court game, almost like a pro game, a possession-by-possession game. It became an ugly game because we were really good defensively, and we didn't give them easy looks. We didn't give them anything inside. We fronted the post. We shut down the 3. We did everything we needed to do in the first half. Offensively, we didn't play as well because they're a good defensive team too, though. So that's what made it an ugly game. It wasn't like it was an ugly game because it was a poorly played game. It wasn't any rhythm because it was a defensive slugfest is what it became. And obviously, we had not been playing great defense, so hats off to us because we took a team that was very good offensively and kept them in the half court and really defended them. It just came down to possession-by-possession game, and they made more plays. They got more veteran players that made bigger shots and did the things they needed to do to win the game.
Did Utah's interior defense change at all in the second half that made it tougher for your post to score down there?
No, it did not. No, it did not. Jordan was knocked out of whack with the fouls and everything, and bring him right back out of the game and everything else. So if you remember, Josh had 2 or 3 easy buckets down there. So it wasn't so much it changed as it was you kind of lost your effectiveness down there with a bigger guy guarding Josh and not having Big Jordan in the game. So a little bit different when Junior's down there, but there's a lot of buckets still scored inside with Juniors and with Josh was able to get done.
Ike had 7 assists, 1 turnover tonight. Looked like he was in much more control of the game than he's been in the past. Pulled some plays out where he was on the fast break, decided to come back, run the offense. What did you see out of him tonight that maybe showed a little sign of maturity there?
No, that's the toughest position in basketball is the point guard position. And if you look at the guards in the conference, just look at their numbers, look at their stats, look at what they do. So I'm happy the fact that he played a little bit more poised in the game and everything. He needed some help in the game. And the freshmen hit the wall a little bit, so we got to rely more on Ike. But I thought he did a good job in the game considering how many minutes he had to play.
Is Josh showing you some things as a passer that might change the way he's used in the future a little bit?
No, the personnel will change the way Josh is used. I mean, what personnel will be around him and things like that, because right now it's hard to predict the future until the new guys get here and see what we do and tweak things and do things a little bit differently systematically.
Is his interior passing a weapon that you'd like to utilize more?
Not necessarily. I think, again, he has his feel is what I'd like to use more. It's not necessarily who's he passing to inside, it's all about feel, and he's got a great skill set, and we utilize it pretty good right now. But when Jordan was on his game, you have to guard Josh on the perimeter, and therefore we had someone to go to, and that's where you saw him make the plays. They took his shot away, so he went inside. When Jordan's not on the floor, they could take his shot away, and really wasn't anybody to go inside to.
Did you see a more complete game out of Junior tonight?
I thought Junior played very well in the game. He's always played hard. Complete game, yes, because he was able to do some things offensively.
You mentioned the 3 missed free throws there in the second half. With about 9 minutes left, you took a timeout right before Ike stepped to the line. What was the reasoning behind that timeout?
Let them catch their breath, because we couldn't get guys off the floor to supplement to the game because we felt like that group was playing well and some guys that had been in the game had not played well. So we took the timeout just for them to rest. That was a rest timeout, so we didn't have to sub. I thought the energy in the building was not where I thought it was going to be with the 13th ranked team coming in here and the seniors on their 2 last games. I thought they deserve a lot better for what they've done, how hard they played, particularly this year. I hope people come out and pay tribute to those guys the right way on Saturday. This would be a different ball game again, if you can imagine, if we had that energy in that building that we face and we go on the road and we had to face and we go play them at their place and play Colorado at their place. Those buildings, I can't even tell you what those buildings are like with that energy in there and all those people in there. Now, part of that is the process of us still closing out games and doing some things, but it does work hand in hand. We get a 9.5 second count. He calls a timeout on his bench. The referee's right in front of our students, and they get a timeout call. That noise level needs to be in that building when they get rattled and everything else. So just stuff like that they were in a position to be poised just because of all of it. We didn't put enough on them. We didn't knock out free throws. There wasn't enough pressure put on them, and they are a veteran basketball team. And to their credit, boy, they hit some big shots in a defensive slugfest because we were all on top of those 3-pointers. And Loveridge hit one, Taylor hit one, Lon hit one, and Tucker hit one. And we were right there on them. They just hit big threes.
I know we can't live in this hypothetical world, but if that timeout's not called, Dexter makes that steal, goes in for a layup, it completely changes the complexion of the game.
You know, we can what if a lot of things, but it is what it is right now. And the positives that I take away from the game, again, to beat that team, they just dominated us when we played them in Salt Lake. Just dominated us. It shows you how far we've come. They were one of the top teams in the country then. They're still one of the top teams in the country. But I told you way back then, our growth potential was really good as we could get guys to understand it and learn it. And it gives us a chance to say, wow, look how far we've come as a basketball team. So if we can somehow regroup and get a win on Saturday and go to the conference tournament where everybody is 0-0, and I've always talked about this team having an opportunity to start anew, well, we get that chance next week. And hopefully we can continue to defend like we did in this game, so we go back in that tournament in Vegas with a good defensive game plan that works now and ability to shoot the ball as well too.
Coach Kraskowiak came into a situation where his team has greatly improved in just a few years. Can you speak to his process and what you've seen him be able to do there?
I believe they won 6 games his first year, or improved it by 6 games, I guess. Then it jumped from 15 to 21. So, you know, when you look at what he's done there, and I remember doing games in his first year in very similar environment. But then the fans probably a little bit more energized in the building because they have more people in the community that could come out to the games and everything. But I saw a building process where he reloaded it with players and really skilled players that could shoot it. He got his system in place where they were going to defend a certain way. They got really lucky, in my opinion, with DeLon Wright. I don't think anybody knew how good he was going to be because that kid is a really, really good player. And they've got tremendous leadership in place with Taylor. Loveridge has been through the fires. Those guys went through a lot. And he stayed to his blueprint. So when you look at a team like Utah and what he's done, that's where we want to get to. So we know what we're doing. It takes time. He didn't do it in 1 year. I think the progress we've had this year actually has been pretty amazing, but why be satisfied with that? Why not go beat the 13th ranked team in the country? Why not go beat Colorado? Why not go win the tournament? There's still more you can do that's sitting out there, and I keep challenging this team to not be satisfied and certainly not allow themselves in any way to allow mediocrity to set into their lives or set into their careers or set into their play.